Hi Fort Worth ISD teachers. This is a short video tutorial about two super awesome Google Meets extensions that will make your class meetings work even better. So the first thing you need to do is install the extensions. Keep in mind that your students will also need to install them in order to see the functionality that you see. So the first one we're going to talk about is called Grid View. And Google Meet Grid View is an extension that allows you to show multiple camera shots on your Google Meet at a time. So the default in Google Meets is that you can only see up to 4 people at one time. However, with this added extension, you're able to see all of your students in one view, in this tiled view that you see in the image here. So I will be posting these links in the YouTube video notes, so you can access those direct links there. You can also find this just by Googling Google Meet Grid View and clicking on the link to the Chrome Web Store. So I'm going to click Add to Chrome and Add Extension. And what it will do is it will add a little icon up in the top right-hand corner. Okay. And I'm going to do that for our Google Meet Grid View. And I'm also going to talk to you about another one that it really helps the functionality of your class in Google Meet. And then we'll look at them in Google Meet as well. So the other one is called Nod Reactions for Google Meet. And this allows your students to provide nonverbal feedback while the Google Meet is taking place. So it'll allow them to do things like give thumbs up and clap their hands. And then the really cool thing about this is that it lets them raise their hand, kind of like the raise hand feature in Zoom. So that way you know a student needs assistance or has a question, and then you can then prompt them to either say their question verbally or type their question in the chat. But it's just a really great nonverbal way for students to communicate with you in your Google Meet. And so again, we're going to click Add to Chrome and Add Extension. And again, it will pop up a little icon in our top right-hand corner as soon as it loads here. Okay, and so now I see my Google Meet Grid View and then my Nod Reactions icons both up in the top right corner. So that means they are added to my Chrome. Now, in order to access those features, I'm going to start a Google Meet. And I will have a student join my Google Meet with me, so that way you can see that from both ends. All right, and my student is joining right now. Okay, so now that I have a student in here, the first one we're going to talk about is that grid view option. And so that grid view creates this little icon up in the top right of your Google Meet window. It looks like a grid, and currently it has a line through it. So if I click on it once, it will turn on that feature. So now that there's no line through it, I know that grid view is on. And again, what that will do is it will place all of your students in little individual tiles across your screen so you can see all of your students at once. And then note that when you hover over your grid here, you have some different options. So you can choose to only have students with their cameras on in that grid view. So you'll notice that Lane doesn't have his camera on. That took him away. I'm going to bring him back. You can also have it highlight the speaker, so the person whose microphone it's picking up. I'll turn my mic on so you can see it. Okay, notice that green outline around the box. And so that will happen for each individual student in your class as they are speaking. You can choose to include your own picture in the grid or not. Okay, and then the last one allows you to enable that by default. So this is now the default view in my Google Meet today, so that all of my students' pictures will stay on my screen until I change that. So that's grid view. Again, if your students want to have the same view that you have, they will have to install the extension as well. So you will need to share that link with them and walk them through installing that. I do have a tutorial video on my coaching site directed at students and parents about how to go about installing those extensions and using them in class, but it does require you to share the link to those extensions with them. The other extension that we installed was that Nod Reactions one, and so notice that I have some new icons in my left-hand corner here. And so as a student is speaking, I can give nonverbal feedback, okay, and my picture is blocking it, but you'll see, I'm going to do that one more time. You'll see in the left-hand corner over here, it'll say who it is and what feedback they gave. Okay, and that's happening on my student screen as well because he has that extension installed as well. And when he does it, you'll notice that we see that icon and his name pop up here. Now, that raise hand option here is really helpful too. As I am teaching, if he has a question, he'll press his, and notice that I have this little icon and it stays there. So that will stay there until I get rid of it on my side, or he gets rid of it on his side. So he can cancel his question, or I can call on him and say, Lane, go ahead and share your question with the group. And then once he has done so, I can cancel out that raise hand. That way we know we've dealt with it. So again, a great way to give some nonverbal feedback, and that's using the nods, the nod reaction extension in Google Meet. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email. And then remember, you need to share those links with your students if you expect them to install them as well.